Okay, so let's start. The first thing is the Excel reading part. Before that, we have to understand Excel sheet structure. Based on that, we will write the code. Okay, so the first thing, whenever you create any Excel, so the first thing that opens is the workbook. If you remember the Excel file structure, first, whenever you try to create any Excel, first you there is a workbook that is already that by default it gets created, and then you open any sheet. By default one sheet will be open. You can also create your own sheet, and in that sheet there will be rows and column where you provide the data. So if you talk about this one, so this is the first row and first column. If you talk about this one, so this is the second row and second column. So based on that, what we can say, workbook contains sheet and sheet contains row, and every row contains column, right? So this is the structure. The first one is the workbook, second one is the sheet, third one is the row, and fourth one is the column. So the same hierarchy we have to also follow while writing the code and while reading and writing the data from Excel. Same thing we have to follow. Okay, this is the structure. Before that, in order to work on the Excel book, in order to read or write the data from Excel, you have to download Apache POI library. Okay, this is the website. From here, you have to select this one binary file, or the best one is to you can simply select this one. The latest is stable release. Click on this, so it will navigate you. So this is the release one. Click on this binary distribution, and from here you can download this one. Once you download this, an extract file, sorry, GIF GIF file will be downloaded. That GIF file you have to extract. Once you extract, it will look like something. Let me check where it is. Apache people. Yes, this one. So if you open this, there will be a folder in which some jar files are available. So all these jar files you have to integrate with your project. So what you will do, you will simply right click on your project. You have to go to build path, and then you have to go to configure build path. From here, you have to click on add external jars, and all the jar files you have to import. First we will select this one all. Okay, then you have to select this folder. Under this, all the jar files you have to import, then library, all the files, and then auxiliary, all the files. Once everything is done, just apply and close. All the jar files will be integrated with your project, and now you are ready to write the code for the Excel file reading and writing. So this is the first setup you have to do. After that, you have to follow the same structure for reading and writing data from Excel. Okay. So the first in the Excel workbook, the first hierarchy is the workbook. So for workbook, there is a class called. Before that, if you have to open any file, if you want to read any data from a file, or if you want to write something in the file, you have to open the file first. If you want to read any file, then you have to open the file in reading mode. And if you want to open a file to write, then you have to open the file in writing mode. So for reading mode and writing mode, there are inbuilt class are available in Java, that is known as. For reading, it is known as file input stream, and for writing, it is known as file output stream. Input for reading and output for writing. So this class you have to create file input stream. This object you have to create for file input stream class. Okay. While creating the object of this, you have to specify the path location of your file which you want to open for reading. So I have a file available at this location, one Excel file I have already created. So this location I am providing you. Okay. So what this will do, it will create an object, and that object will refer to the file. It will open the file in the reading mode, and this object will refer to this file. This file. So this one you have to import in from the java.io package. Okay. And now it will give you an error. Why? Because file not found exception. File input out file not found exception. Why? Because it may happen like this file sometimes after some time it may be deleted and this file is not available. So it may give you an exception. In order to handle the exception, you have to declare this exception. Okay. So now what happens? You have opened a file in the reading mode because you have created an object of file input string. Once the file is open, first thing you have to reach is the workbook of the Excel file. So for workbook, there is a class XSF workbook. Its object you have to create. So for workbook, there is a class created where, so in Apache POI library that we have downloaded, there you can get all the information about this class. So this class, if you see, it is available in this package user model. So you have to import this, and this value, it accepts one parameter which is the object of file input string. That means this object is referring to the location where the file is available. So that object you have to pass here. It will also throw exception that you have to declare. Input output exception. So now you have reached to the workbook of the Excel file. After reaching to the workbook, you have to next step is to reach to the sheet. So for sheet also there is a class called XSF sheet. And again, how you can the workbook basically contains the sheet. So from workbook object you have to call. Now with the help of this workbook you have to reach to the sheet where from where you want to read the data. So a workbook can contains multiple sheets. Right now you can see there are two sheets. So in the same way there can be multiple sheets in a single workbook. So basically you have to reach to that particular workbook, sorry, particular sheet from where you want to read the data. So for sheet there is a concept which is indexing concept. Either you can reach to any particular sheet with the help of the sheet name, or second way is to follow the indexing concept. The first sheet will have the index value 0. The second sheet will have the index value 1. In the same way 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this sheet also follows the indexing concept. The first one will start with 0, second one with 1, 2, 3, and 4. So either you can provide the name directly or you can give the index value. So for both this, there are two methods available. So with the help of workbook object, if you call get sheet, so see there is one method called get sheet where you can provide the sheet name, and there is a second method get sheet at where you need to provide the index. So in my case, I have to read the data from the second sheet, which is available at the index number 1. So I will provide 1. Okay.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Like it's better to use get sheet, right? Because the index may be changed. Like, uh,
Uh-huh. You can use that one also.
okay,
Actually, I have opened this Excel in, if you see in the Chrome, because I do not have Office right now installed in my system, so I cannot. If I try to do anything like this and it is not even getting saved, so it may not read the data. So that is why I am using CTAD concept, indexing concept. But it's better to give the seat name because it will directly reach to the seat name with the help of the seat name, and directly it will read the data. If you give the index, let's suppose due to some navigation, if the index value of the seat gets changed, then your program will target to the incorrect Excel file, an incorrect seat. So then it will create problem. So yes, it's better to uh, give the sheet name instead of index. But here I have to use index only. Okay. So once you call this, it will return it will be stored in a sheet variable of XSF sheet class. This one you have to import. Okay. So now you have reached to the sheet. Now the next step in the sheet, a sheet contains multiple rows. So now you have to reach to the row. So again, with the help of sheet object, you have to call the, yes,
For get sheet, we can use from Excel sheet's name, right?
yes. Instead of this, what you can do, you can call simply this method, and here you can give the sheet name.
Name.
This also you can do, and this is the preferred way, I would say. But as of now, due to some reason, I'm using this.
Okay.
Okay. So now, with the help of sheet, the first thing that you can get to know is the total number of rows already created in this Excel, in this sheet. So for that, there is a method called get last row number that you can store in a string variable, and you can print to check whether how many rows are available in the sheet that is already created. Okay, so let's run this and see how what is the value we are getting.
Sunny, we are not able to audible. It's not audible actually.
Am I audible?
Now it's
Now,
audible. Yeah, from get
Oh,
sheet from int row number. Sorry, from there onwards we are not audible.
this part, till this part you have heard, right?
No, no, no. Get sheet of one. No, from that part we have heard. From int row number. No, we didn't heard actually.
So from
yes.
here, okay. So this one is basically giving you the uh, total number of row. The value it is giving as 2. Why? Because if you see the total number of row is 3, but it is giving you the value as 2. The reason is it is actually giving you the index value. Similar to sheet, it also follows the indexing concept. The first row at the index number 0, 1 and 2. Similarly, cell 0, 1 and 2. So when you call this method get row number, get last row number, it will give you the value as uh, the last index value. So if you want to know the actual row number, so you can make it plus 1. So now it will give you the value as 3 if you print.
Why plus one we need to put? Sorry.
Because you want to know the total number of row. If you want, you can give plus 1, or if you do not, you can also not mention. But this method, this get row, last row number will give you the total number of index, not the total number of row. So if there are 3 rows, that means there are total 2 index. So that's sorry, the last index value will be 2 because it starts from 0, right? So if you want to know the correct, like you want to know the accurate row number, so you know it is going to give you the one value less. So make it plus 1, so it will give you the correct row number.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So now if you once you got the total number of row, now you want to know the total number of column. For that, a column basically a row basically contains the columns. So there are currently 3 active rows are available. If you want to know the total number of column, so any of the for any you have to reach to any of the row, either this one, or this one. Let's suppose if you reach to this row, from here you can count the total number of column 1, 2, and 3. So same thing now I'm going to do with this sheet. I'm going to call this method get row. That will give you the row. It accepts the index value. If you give 0, so it will give you the reference of the first row. If you give 1, so it will give you the reference of second. If you give third, so it will give you the reference of this one. Sorry, if you give 2, so it will give you the reference of this one. So I have given 0. So now this row variable will point out this row. So once you reach to a particular row, from there you can call a method called get last cell number. You can store it in an integer variable and you can print it. So now see if it is going to give you the cell number or the index number. So it is giving you the cell number, not the index number. So it means this get last row only it only gives you the index number. So here only you have to make plus 1. This will give you the correct cell number only. So here you don't need to make plus 1. So this is the only thing you have to remember if you are dealing with Excel sheet. So once you have the detail of the total number of row and total number of column, so you can read all the data that are available currently in the Excel, right? So for that, you have to create two for loops. One for loop will be for row, integer I equal to. Now the row is starts from 0, so you have to give 0, and here you have to give what is the maximum value, this one, and I plus plus. Under this you will create a row for a for loop for column that also starts from 0, and its maximum value is this one, j plus plus. Okay. Now before this, there are multiple data are available in the Excel. So like if you have to store multiple values, you have to create an array. So similarly, if you have to store all the data, first of all you have to store all the data from Excel uh, in an array, and you can print that array directly, or you can directly print. You can put all the logic in a system.out.println, and that will print all the data one by one. So there you no need to create any array. But I will create an array because the same concept I will use in the framework. So here all the data are string, so I will create a string array. And since it stores the table in a row and column format, so it is a table. So that is a two-dimensional table. So here I will create two-dimensional array. Here you have to specify the size. So array also starts from 0. So how I will specify the size? The total number of row is 3. So the total number of size should be 3. Here I will specify row number only. And here I will specify the cell number. This is the maximum size. Okay. Now what I will
Can we
do?
use this? Can we use maps also? Oh yeah, hash maps.
As of now, let's not focus on hash map. Let's understand the basic first. In the framework,
Okay.
I will implement the hash map.
Okay, okay, no issues. Yeah.
So first, we are going to store, pick all the data from Excel, and we will store in a string array. So here I will specify the column number. So this is the variable, array variable, where I have to store the data one by one. Now I have to write the logic which will pick the data from Excel. So for that, you have to start with sheet object sheet dot get row. The row is denoted by I. Then you have to call get cell. Cell is denoted by J, and then you have to call get string cell value. From sheet, first of all, you have to reach to row. Then if you reach to a particular row, then you have to reach to the cell. And from that cell, you have to pick the string value. So this will store here. And after that, you can print this value. So the initially I will be 0. J will be 0, 0, 0. So once I is 0, that means this one, and J is also 0, that means this one. So its first name will be picked up and it will store here. And similarly, it will keep on navigating like J for the value of I equal to 0, J will be 0, 1 and 2. Cell number is 3, so the last index will be 2, 0, 1 and 2. So 0, 1 and 2, this is correct. For row number 0. For row number 1, again J will repeat 0, 1 and 2. And for row number 2, again J will repeat 0, 1 and 2. So one by one, it will read all the data, it will store here, and the same we are printing it. So this is the entire logic for reading the data from an Excel. Okay, so let's see if it works or not. So yes, it worked and it reads all the data, first name, last name, postcode, then Sunny this, then Rahul Kumar, then this. All the data available in the Excel it has picked up. So this is the code for reading any value or entire value from an Excel. If you want to read any specific value, so no need to create two for loop. You need to simply write this part. And here you have to specify, let's suppose if you want to read this data. So this data is available at the row number 2, and based on index, I'm saying uh, yes, 2 and sale is 1. So 2 and 1. So here you have to specify 2 and here you have to specify 1. Then it will only read this data. Similarly, if you have to read this, so the row number is 1 and the cell number is 2. So here you have to specify 1 and 2. Only this part you need. This 2 for loop and this string array you no need to create. If you just want to read one data. But if you want to read entire data, then you have to create a string array, then 2 for loop. You have to store it or you have to print it. Okay, so this is the logic for reading data from an Excel. Anyone has any confusion?
Uh, yes, sir. Like,
Yes.
basically, yes, this is something like, okay, we understood the concept, but so in one of the interview, we just faced basically, it has to pick dynamically, not like, not no need to specify like row number and the column number. So for example, let's say in Excel sheet, we have like for login, and then some other functionality. For login, whatever the data it is there, it has to pick. So if I specify login, then it has to pick login related data. If I specify like any other module, then it has to pick that particular functionality. Uh, so that they were asking like that actually. So
Okay.
dynamically it has to pick like instead of hard coding the row number and column number, like based on it has to read all the rows, that is fine, all the columns, and then it has to iterate one by one, and it has to search, okay, where is this string basically. So based on the string, it has to pick the related data.
So here also I'm not hard coding. Everything is iterating and it is picking the value.
Yeah.
So this is also a dynamic approach for reading the data. Like I'm not hard coding any row number and column number. It is picking based on the value of I and j.
Yeah, but in case if I want specific row only, then in that case we are hard coding, right? So as you mentioned now.
Yes, if a specific data you want, then you have to hard code it. Without hard coding, how I will get
No,
that?
yeah, for one thing is it is fine. We can hard code and can get the data. But let's say, for example, like in page update model, like we have number of functionalities and we have number of data. So in that case, like how we need to make it this reusable. You'll be teaching that time in framework.
So my framework, I will create a common function for reading the data from Excel.
Oh,
And
not this one.
yeah, this one only. This one I will create in a method and I will specify in a class. Whenever I need to read any data, I will simply call this one. So all this single program will read any data from any Excel and from any sheet. We just need to provide the Excel location and that sheet number. That's it, and it will pick that data. Here, what is changing? The sheet number. Let's suppose I want to read data from here. So I just need to change the sheet. I just need to pass sheet number as a parameter. So it will go to that sheet and it will read the data.
Okay. So anyway, to differentiate, no need to differentiate this log, whether this login data or some other data, no? No need to pass that module. Say for
More,
example, if
it depends on the Excel structure. Like I'm not understanding. If this
okay,
is the Excel structure, so here I just need to read these two data because this is required. Let's suppose this requires for this is the login data and login functionality I want to test for these two data. So I will use a data provider concept. That data provider will read the data with the help of an Excel and it will enter into the application and it will log in.
okay. If we have any other function data, functionality data apart from login, that also we can read from the same Excel sheet, or like we need to put in different sheet.
You can put it into a different sheet and just need to pass the sheet name. Like when you call that method for reading this reading the data from Excel. So as an input, you have to pass the sheet name and the
Okay,
location
okay,
of Excel. These two details you need to pass, and the method which contains the logic for reading the data from Excel. So there, first the Excel file will go and the sheet name will go, and from there it will pick the data. So method will be one, only one method for reading the data. Only changing part is sheet name and the location of the Excel. That's it.
okay, okay. So you mean to say like in real time, like for each and every functionality, they're going to maintain different sheets, or they're going to put in the same sheet? I just want to confirm that.
Why means if we have different things, so it's better to create different sheets. Like if we have different, like there are different sections, so it's better to create different sheets for every section and put that specific data that belongs to that section. And so it will be easy to categorize. If you put everything in a single sheet, then it will be difficult even to manage.
Okay. So, okay, for example, let's say I have like customer module. So where I'm creating customer, create customer and update customer. So for create customer, these are two different functionalities. So we have two different data. So we can still make use of this method, right? Usually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It can be used. Means,
No, no, what I'm
right.
saying is, in one same screen only, like I have create customer where we have to enter like different set of data. We have update customer.
Hmm.
We have update agent, for example, like in the same update customer only. Like for that, we have to read different set of data. So yeah, so in that case, we need to specify the method functionality name, no, like customer, create customer and update customer, and we need to
Yes.
enter the data.
Yeah. So there you
So
have to write some logics. First you
correct,
have.
because yeah, no, sorry to interrupt. Like for example, like create customer, I don't want to enter, but still I want to read that string and make use of that using that string. I want to pass the related data, like for example, column one, column two, column three. I need to pass based on my create customer string, because for create customer, I need only these three data like that.
Hmm. So, so this is just a this logic that I've written that can follow this structure. But if there are specific section in a single sheet, so there you have to write logic part. That like if
Okay,
there's a add customer, so let's suppose you will write here add customer.
correct, yeah,
After that you put all the data here. So you have to write a logic first. It will match the where add customer is available.
correct, yeah,
Once it matches, then from the next row it will pick the data. So
correct, yeah. This one,
modify, uh, you have to write some logic for that. So it depends. That is why, since I said it depends on the Excel structure. If this is the structure, then this method can be used.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if the
that's
structure
true.
is different, then based on that, you have to write the logic.
Mm. No, basically like in the general practical real time. So for each and every module, see for example, we have customer module, we have agent module. In customer module, we have like different screens basically: create customer, update customer, and we have some other functionality. So we will maintain like each and every sheet for every functionality. That time we need to write specific data only. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
what my.
Yes, yes. In that case, you have to write the logic in that way. That will be little bit complex in that scenario.
Yeah,
It
because
depends
yeah.
on the application actually.
Okay, yeah, no issues. Yeah, just want
So
to end that.
yeah. So now we have to you have to write in Excel. Let's suppose here I'm creating a row, and at these two place I want to write data like pass. These two value I want to write it. So for writing, what we have to do? So this from here, most of the part will be same. This is for reading, so I will comment out. So when you have to write the value in the Excel, so till this part will be common. This is for getting the total number of row and total number of cell. Okay, so this may require or this may not require, but the mandatory part is this one, this three. That means you have to create a file input stream to open the file. You have to reach to the workbook and you have to reach to the sheet, because once you reach to the sheet, then only you can write any data in that specific cell. So till this part, everything will be same. After that, you have to write a logic for writing the value in the Excel. So where I have to write at this place in this column. So here the column is fixed, column is not changing. What is changing is the row. Okay, so you have to identify the starting position of the row and the starting position of the column. So here I want to write the data in this row and in this row. So this is the row number one, and this is the index number one, and this is the index number two. So my for loop for this row, which is changing, will start from one and it will end to two. And for column, no need to create any loop. Why? Because this is fixed. This is the column which is fixed. Column is not changing. Only row is changing. So for this, I will simply create a for loop for only row integer I equal to, and it will start from one less than. You know the total number of row. This you can pass here. That's it. No need to create another for loop. Why? Because cell is fixed. So here you have to again call. You have to use the object of sheet, and then you have to write get row, where you have to pass the value of I, and then you have to call the method called create cell. Now there is a difference. Once you call for reading, you have called get row and get cell, but here you are writing. So once you call the row, you have to create a cell where you want to write the data. So here you have to call this method create cell, and you know the cell number. The cell number is this one, 0, 1, 2, and 3. So here you have to pass the value 3, and then you have to call the method cell set. Sorry, set cell value you have to call for the string. And just pass the string value. So you are first calling the row number. First you are reaching to the row, then you are creating a cell at this particular space. Let it suppose this is the row number one. So at row number one, at here you are creating a cell, and then you have specified the data which you want to put here. This set cell value, once you are calling and once you are passing the value, it doesn't means it will write the data here. It means you are specifying that this value you want to put here, you want to write here. Why it will not write? Because still your file is in writing reading mode, the file that you have opened in the reading mode. So in reading mode you cannot edit any file. So for that you have to create an object of file output stream. Okay, and now once you have opened the file in the writing mode, now what you have to do, with the help of workbook object you have to call, there is a method, write. There is a method called write, and this object you have to pass it. Okay, this line will write all the values which you have set at that particular cell number. So at the row number one, at this cell you have set a value, and similarly for this row at this place you have set a value. So once this method will be called, it will write this value at this and this place. So for writing, this is the logic for setting the value at, for first of all creating a cell value and setting a value for that cell, and then you need to open the file in writing mode, and then you have to call write method that will write the data in that particular cell which you have created and for which you have set the value. Okay, so now I will close this. Before that I have to save this. Okay, so this is set, saved. Now I will close this file. Once you have to write anything, just close the Excel sheet and then run the code, and let's see if it writes or not. Okay, so it is completed. Now I will open the file and I will check whether the value has been written or not. So now you will see the value has been written. So it means this logic that we have written is correct. It is writing the value. Okay. So everything is same, only these two things. You have to first of all write the logic for writing, and then you have to create these two things. First, you have to create an object of file output string, and then you have to call this method for writing all the data where you want to write. Okay. So this is the logic for reading, and this is the logic for writing. Before that, this is the constant common part. So this is how we read and write the data from an Excel. Okay, now what I will do, now we will learn about data providers. So first of all, this entire code I will put in a method. A common method I will create. Okay, so here what I have done, nothing. I have just created a method, and in that method I have put all the code that just now I have written for uh, writing the data from Excel. Okay. And here instead of printing, I will return all the data. Why I am returning, that you will understand in some time. Here my return type will be string of array, and just after reading all the data, I will return return this one, return in this entire array. That will store all the data after reading from the Excel. Why I have created this common method? Because from somewhere else I will call this method. It will read all the data from Excel, it will store here, and then finally it will provide me all the array that will store all the value from the Excel. I want to use it at somewhere, that is why I have done this. Let me set up entire thing, then I will start explaining. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, this is our application. If you click on this button, bank manager login, and if you click on add customer, so it will open these three fields. So what I'm going to do, I will read the data from Excel. That will, the data that I will read, I will enter here, and it will, then I will click on this button. It will add a customer. So currently in my Excel sheet there are two data. So these two customer I want to add in this application. So the data part I will read from this Excel. So this is the program which I am going to do for this application. Who will read the data from Excel? Now in my case, in this case, data provider will read the data. So now you will understand the concept of parameterization. So here you have to, here what I have done, I have created a method get data from Excel. Okay. From here I will call this method Excel, where I have created the method, this one, read data. Okay. This method is available in this class. I will make this method as static, and with the help of this class, I will call the method. So why I have made it static? I hope you know the reason behind making this method as static, right? You know why I have made it static?
Yeah, no need to create any object. We can call method using class.
Class name. So when I'm calling this method, it is returning me something, the data, which is a string type. So here I have to store. So this will read the entire data. So what this data provider will do, it will read the data from Excel and it will store in this array. And just below this method, sorry, just above this method, you have to create a data at the rate data provider annotation, and you have to create a data, just give a name of the data provider. And this one you have to import. Okay. This will also return the data that it has read from the Excel. So this data provider will read the data from Excel and it will return the data. Where? In my program. So how many columns are there? 3 columns in the application. So for that, three uh, variable you have to create. This is my test case where I have to write the logic. So in my test case, I will call the data provider, which can give me the data from the Excel. So here you have to specify data provider equal to this class name dot class comma data provider name. And here you have to pass the data provider name. Okay, I think there is some issue. Let me check the proper keyword. Okay, so it is not data provider, it is data provider class. This is the keyword where you have to specify the class which under which you have created the data provider. So the class name data providers dot class and then comma data provider, and then here you have to pass the name of the data provider that you have created. So now what this test case will do, it test case will connect with this data provider, and it with that once it will connect with this data provider, so this data provider will read the data first of all from the Excel, and then after reading it will return all the data to this test case. Okay, and now you have to make sure one thing. Once you are reading any data from Excel, so there are three columns. So the three variables you have to create, which will store the data one by one in this variable. So that is why these three variables I have created: 1, 2, and 3. Because at one time, data provider will read all these three data. So you should have some variables where you can store the data. This test case will connect with this data provider. This data provider will read the data from Excel, and then it will return you the data. So you have some variables which you can store in your test case. So that is why here I have created the three variables. Why three? Because there are three columns. But as of now, this is the solution I'm giving. In the framework, I will create a map for this purpose, because there can be 10 columns for those for those 10 columns. You cannot create 10 variables, 10 arguments here. So that is a very lengthy work. So in order to reduce that, I will use a hash map concept. So that I will explain in the framework part. And but this logic that I am explaining here, this will be same. The same logic I will use for reading the data in the framework part also. Okay. So now go back to the application. You have opened the application, you have maximized. Now you have to click on this button. Or let me check the code I have already written. No, this is different. I have to click on this button. So it has a ng click method. So I will use this. Sorry, ng click attribute. Input tag name is button. Okay, so this is the expert. So in my code, I will write driver to find element by dot expert. Okay, so now in this send case, I will pass this variable because this is holding the data which has been read from the Excel. Okay, so now you have understood. Here I'm passing first name, last name, and then postcode, and then after I will click on this button. Okay, so I'm not clicking on any button. My only purpose is to explain you like how you can read the data from Excel and enter into an application. So who is acting as a bridge? Data provider is acting as a bridge, right? So data provider is basically reading the data from Excel and entering the value in the application. So this is the uses of data provider. So a single data provider can read multiple data from Excel, and for each of the data, for each of the row, your data provider will run your application. Will run your code. Like this entire code will, if there are two set of data, so for two times this code will run, right? And this will be done by data provider. You will right now see I will run this program and it will run two times.
So how it knows it, like it has to run two times? Data problem.
Sorry, come again.
Now, how does it knows like it has to execute two times?
Because here two
What is the
sets of
logic?
data.
Yeah,
This is the last
here it's
number.
fine. But
After that, yeah, based on if there are two sets, so it will run two times. So here it is getting the information from the Excel sheet. And since I'm aware of this application, it takes a time to load. So that is why I'm so introducing some time here. Will enter all the data. Yes, fine. And after entering, I will close the browser. So what it will do, it will read the data, it will click on, then it will wait for 3 seconds, then it will start entering, then it will close. Fine. Everything is set up. Now let's run and see. I will run this program and you will see two times browser will open one by one. Let's see if it happens or not. If there is any problem, then it will give error immediately. But only local connection. What is this? It hasn't loaded properly. So what is happening? Okay, one browser has opened. Let's see what is happening. Okay, fine. So it is launching, and let's see if it enters the data or not. First, it will click on Bank Manager login. Oh, again, two times browser is opening. I haven't written parallel logic.
Yeah, that's what my I just had it out. How
Mhm.
it opens like two
How
times in the
automatically?
code.
Yeah, I'm also confused. So let's this run, then I will see what is happening. It will not run. So yes, as I said, parallel execution in data provider doesn't work. So it failed. But how it is loading this parallelly? Because I haven't written parallel word anywhere. Second. This is name. Let me rerun this again. Now it is, I guess, fine. One browser is opening. Maybe there was some issue in the first run because some all the details were also not loaded correctly on the console. Again, same problem. Maximizing, then it should click on this three problem. Okay, yes, three browser is fine, but it is skipped. Such element exception.
No,
Maybe to look at this.
sorry, my question
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah.
basically how customer
Mm-hmm.
creation method will be triggered twice. Okay, that the Excel method is reading two data using for loop and storing in somewhere in array. So from
Mm-hmm.
array, it's passed to data provider, but how this method create add customer will be triggered twice? Was the question.
Actually, once it will read the data from Excel, so how it will store in the array? In the array it is a two-dimensional array, right? So it
Correct.
will also store the data in this format only, row and column
Correct.
format.
Yes.
The way
Yeah.
you are seeing in Excel, in the same way it will store the data in array. So there also
Correct.
it
Yeah.
will see maximum row number index is three. Sorry, the total number of row three. So three times the browser will open one by one. Here I'm reading this one also. This line also I'm reading. So three times browser will open. This is since I haven't written a logic that will read the right data from here only directly. The logic that is currently written, it will read this data also. So currently there are three sets of data. For all these three, this data provider will run this code three times.
But where did we
But
mention
here
this? It has run three times here in data provider. Sorry.
it is not mentioned anywhere. In this array,
Okay.
it will store data in three row. Like this is the
Correct.
row,
Okay.
this is column. So here it will check the maximum index value is what. So since there are three rows, so it will be two. So the total index is 0, 1, and 2. So that is why three times it will run based on the total number of row.
Okay. Here we are storing three times, but how that add customer method will be running three times?
So this data provider will run this test case because this is controlled by this data provider.
Okay. 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 I was not knowing that point. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. That was my question. Sorry.
no problem. But here it is not locating this one. Introduce a wait here also.
Because this was an intro
Actually, what?
question they were asking,
Mhm.
like how to repeat for multiple number of time any test case. For example, let's say we have a test case, we need to repeat like multiple number of times. That time I could not able to answer, so that's why I just want to clarify here. Yeah, thanks for that.
That is done by data provider. So here this
Okay,
in the
okay.
test case you are, once you mention the data provider, that means this test case is going to read data from that with the help of data provider. But how it
Okay,
will
okay,
be
yeah.
read, how it read, this will be taken care of by the data provider.
Okay, okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
So I think once it is maximizing, then it is immediately looking for this element and the browser is loading. So it failed, and that is why again second time browser launches immediately. Again same problem, then again the browser launches immediately, and again same problem, and finally since this is not able to locate, the test case getting failed. This is my understanding, but that is why I have introduced a wait here so that after maximizing it will wait for some time and now see if it is working or not. Because the X path is correct, so maybe this is the problem. Yeah. So first is done. Now second browser is opened. Now Sunny, yes, Sunny data has entered. Now third browser will open. Now Rahul one will be entered. Once Rahul one will be entered, then finally there is no next row. So immediately data provider will stop because in the next row it will find null values. So that is the stopping point of the data provider. Done.
All three browsers will be open parallelly, is it? Like parallel, it will
One.
be executed. Huh?
Now here it is executing one by one. Parallelly also we can do.
Oh, okay, okay. One by one only. Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Here one by one it happens. So see, for three sets of data, all the three test cases are passed. You can also see here, add customer for this set of data, add customer for this set of data, add customer for this set of data. So as I said, there are three sets of data, and in the same way it is storing in the array also, because this is a two-dimensional array. So 0 for index number, for row number 1, data provider will run the entire code one time. For row number 2, second time. For row number 3, third time. And at the row number 4, what is there? Null values. So finally it will check it is a null, so it will stop the execution. Okay. So this is how data provider helps to achieve parameterization, right? Here only one time you have written the code, and with different data set, your code will run every time. And this every time run will be controlled by the data provider. Okay, so this is how data provider we use in test engine. Okay? Anyone else? Anything to discuss? Okay, I guess everyone is very smart here. Like on one time I'm explaining and everyone is getting everything except Pawan. Only Pawan has so many doubts. Seriously, everyone has understood. Can I get the answer from everyone? Yes, no, or any doubt? So Anjum is saying she doesn't have any doubt. Okay, who are there in the call? I said this thing because every time I heard question from Pawan only, not from everyone.
No, actually, what are the doubts which I am asking, right? So because of these doubts only, I could not able to like don't know if I actually had a confidence. Uh,
Actually,
it is
you have already done all these things, so you have that pre questions in your mind. So for the rest, what is happening? They are first time
yeah,
actually seeing everything. So that is why that doubt is not coming in their mind. So that is the only difference.
yes,
So that is what I want to hear from everyone. I know this is the first time. You are seeing like I'm explaining and everything is working on the first time. So that is why there is no doubt. So definitely once you practice, some doubts will come. So that is why yesterday I said, please be sync in the like today I have done, so practice it immediately. Then try to find some time because then only you will get some doubt and you will clear. After the batch, if you found doubt, then I you will not get my time in this way to discuss and to resolve your doubt. Okay. So yes, you have to practice. So if it is done, then let's move on to the next part, that is the Selenium grid. The theoretical part today I will explain. The practical part I will show you in the next class because it will take some time. So anyone has any idea why we use Selenium grid? I have already explained, but I still want to know from you.
yeah. So basically, like if no, I don't know like exact theoretical way of answer, but the practical way basically like if you have like 1,000 test cases. So if you want to
Mhm.
execute those thousand test cases, so in one system we can't able to run like all the test cases because of memory issues. So that's why we'll be using like different machines and execute parallelly. Something, am I right?
Yes, but the simple answer is for to achieve cross browser testing.
Yes, cross browser. You can multiple test cases execute with the cross browsing.
Yeah, like Not if not multiple, only let's suppose there is one test case. For example, I'm giving, and that test case you want to test in every browser. It should work in Chrome, it should work in Mozilla, it should work in IE, it should work in Edge. Same test case. Sometimes there is a requirement from the client just to verify the application is working fine in every browser or not. So in that case, we can also do manually. Let's suppose there are 10 test cases, so three test cases we have run in Chrome browser, three in Firefox, three in IE, and one in Edge. So in this way, we say to the client like, yes, we have done the testing in every browser, and the application is working fine. So same thing we can achieve in automation also with the help of Selenium Grid. Selenium Grid is basically to achieve cross-browser testing.
But why we'll be running like with multiple machines if it is a cross browser?
Multiple machine means operating system.
No, Selenium. No, no. Selenium grid in the sense like we have different nodes, right? Basically, like
Mhm.
there are different systems, right?
Yes. So not only
That is different.
cross-browser testing. Yeah, yeah, I'm coming on
Okay.
that one. Cross-browser
Yeah.
is
Okay.
not only for browser. It is also applicable for mm, yes, sorry, operating system. Not only browsers. I also want to check this application works fine in different operating systems. So both thing we can achieve with the help of sorry, this Selenium Grid. So but here it is not possible for me to show this.
Okay.
Like it
So
will
without grid,
work.
we can't achieve this cross browser testing without grid.
With Grid, we achieve cross-browser test. For
No,
cross-browser
without
testing only, we without
without grid,
Grid
I'm
in
asking.
auto, you have to use browser stack.
Okay.
Browser stack is there. If you do not want to use Grid, then you can use that one.
No, no.
Actually, we
What
do
I'm
not.
asking is like,
Uh,
sorry to interrupt. Like
yes.
what I'm asking is like we have like WebDriver drivers called Chrome driver, no? So there only like
Uh,
if I in case if I want to run whether my test case in Chrome driver, I will be calling like Chrome driver this one Chrome driver launch using properties file. If it is a Firefox driver, I will be calling like I will be putting that variable string as a Firefox, so that my Firefox will be launched. That is a cross-browser testing only, no? So then why we need specifically grid or browser stack?
it is required because let's suppose I told you to again same example I'm giving 10 automation is yeah, 10 test cases are there. Okay, I told you to run the three test case on Windows operating system in Chrome browser, and the rest and the next three test case in Vista environment in Firefox browser, and the rest four on Mac OS on Safari browser. Then how you will do this?
Yeah, that is fine.
Three
That different OS is fine. But I'm saying like cross browser in the same system. Uh, that is
in
what you
system
want.
system.
You mean
Yes, in system also you can achieve cross browser testing. But if you do not want to use grid, you said you will create object for from driver, Firefox, and Edge.
yeah,
So
case
how
statement.
many
Yeah,
times you, let's suppose there are 20 test cases. So are you going to create object 20 times?
no,
So
what I
it,
mean to say is, see, basically in the framework, usually we guys will write no in property file. So browser is equal to Chrome. So Chrome will be launched. If browser is equal to Firefox, Firefox will be launched and it will be executed. You know.
hmm. But that will happen not sequentially. That will happen parallelly. It will not happen
Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, fine. Yes. Please go ahead.
sequentially. It will happen parallelly. It will not happen. And at one time you can only open Chrome browser because that is the setting. You are passing Chrome as a variable, so it will match and it will open Chrome browser. If you want to
Correct.
open Firefox, you have to change the browser name to Firefox, then only it will open the Firefox. So every time you have to change this setting. But in grid, this is
Okay.
not the case, right?
Oh yeah, that's what my question was. Because one of the interview they were asking, I answered like this actually. So that's why I just want to clarify now. Sorry. Yeah.
So means how you have answered.
Yeah. The way I told, no, like I will be doing cross-border
How?
testing using property file, and where if I want to test my test cases using Chrome driver, I will be testing first all test cases in my Chrome driver. Then I will launch Firefox, and I will test all the test cases in Firefox and make sure in both the browsers is working fine or not. Like that I answered. Yeah.
No, no, this is answer.
Okay. Yeah. Now it will be helpful for me.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not getting the document where I have created the grid document. So I'm explaining based on my understanding. Let me check once here if it is there or not.
So without grid, I mean, if you execute the, I mean, any test cases, so it will work as a sequentially, right? It not work like uh, simultaneously.
No. First of all, it will run sequentially and it will run only one time.
Okay.
Let's suppose three test case for fun, and you want to run Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. So first time you have to do the setting for Chrome. It will open Chrome and it will run. Again, second time you have to change the setting. Then again you have to run your code. And again, third time you have to run it. Every time you have to run the code. So it will not happen like your three test cases you have just run one time. Your three test cases has run on three browsers simultaneously.
Okay.
You as of now in the parallel execution, what we have seen only Chrome browser is opening two times or three times, but it is not happening. Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. These three opening parallelly. This we
Okay.
haven't seen that, and this is known as cross-browser testing.
No, we can do parallel execution also. No, like then what is the difference between parallel execution using TestNG and this grid basically?
Parallel execution you can do only in a single browser, but on multiple
Okay.
browsers you cannot do parallel execution.
Because what happened few days ago, I just watched one, I mean, videos and where I can see, I can execute, I mean, login function. There was a login functionality, so we can execute three browser like Mozilla, uh,
Hmm.
Edge, and Chrome. So first, what happened? First executed in Chrome. After that, again executed on Mozilla, and one is executed on Edge without
Hmm.
using Selenium Grid.
So how the code was?
Code was actually latest Maven project that only use uh, a manager dot chrome driver dot setup. That one is, so there's one, I mean, all driver setup is in one class, and we just use extend, I mean, extend keyword, and we set up the things like that. Actually, I don't remember because just watching on that.
Mhm. No, three browser at one time it cannot be possible. Then in that case, in the same class, you have to create three objects: one for Chrome driver, one for Firefox, and one for uh, Internet Explorer. Because then only three browsers will open by one. But same test case, if you want to run in the three browsers simultaneously, that is not possible without grid. So there must be logic has have been written somewhere for the grid, and from the grid only it is happening. Basically, in
Not
the test based class,
it's
we write.
sequentially. After one executed, now second one is open. After third one open, it's not happening in simultaneously. One test case is passed, then again next one. If it is suppose first one is in failed, then not will moved on the second one.
So all the three are opening in different browsers.
Yes.
I need to check them. Means you have to show me. Uh, because without grid it is not possible. At one time only it is happening. Like only one time someone has run and one by
Yes.
one three has happened.
Yes, yes. I can actually I have a I don't remember the videos, but I can give the link. You can check it.
If you pass me the link, I will watch that video and I will try to understand without grid how it is possible.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not getting the document, but I'm explaining you the theoretical part. In grid, what happens? Uh, there is a hub and there is a node. So why we use grid? That is I have explained to you. Now how it works? Now this is what I'm explaining. There is a hub and there is a node concept. What is hub? So hub is the central part of the grid. If I give you a practical example, let's suppose you are working in a company. There are four systems. One system you have configured as a hub, and three system you have configured as a node. There can only be one hub, but there can be multiple nodes. Hub will be only one. That is the place where you will control everything. And node is the place where whatever you are doing in the hub, the same result you can see in the nodes. Okay. So basically hub is your action and the nodes are the reactions. So there will be only one hub and there can be multiple nodes. So one system you have configured as a hub and the three system you have configured as a node. Okay. You have a one test case, one automation script you have written that you want to open. Uh, let's suppose in the first node, the first system that is configured as the first node, in that machine, your test case will run on Chrome browser. In the second node, it will run in the Firefox, and in the third browser, third machine, it will run in the Safari browser. So let's suppose this is the hub, and here you have started running the code. So this is your hub system where you are running the program, where your program is available, and there are nodes where you can see it is happening. Uh, this run is happening in that three nodes. So this is called remote connection. You have connected with all the systems, and this is happening. So this remote work cannot be possible without grid. Without with grid or with fire, with grid only you can connect remotely with different systems. Or with if not do not want to use grid, then if there is a shortage of system, there your project cannot provide you such machines. So in that case, we go with a browser stack where simulators will be created for different browsers. For different there you can get all the operating system simulators, all the operating system, all the browser simulators. So in that way we connect. So again, browser stack is a licensed version, and initially you have to get some training in order to use the browser stack. But the process will be same that you can see in the grid. Okay. You This is the first scenario. Second scenario, you can configure your system as a hub and you can configure your system as a node. So one system can be work as a hub and can be work as a node. This is also possible, and this is what I will explain here. My system, same system will work as a hub, and my same system will work as a node. Multiple nodes you can create. So there is a setup with the help of JSON files that we will learn now in the next class. Okay, or let me show you today only. At least this part will be done. So this is a grid folder. Here all the setup I have created here. Okay. So what I will do here, only one test case I will run. My system will first of all will act as a hub, and I will run my program. Then the same thing you will see Same execution is happening on different nodes. I will create two nodes. On the two nodes, you will see the same thing is happening. Yeah, the program execution is happening. So this locally also you can do everything on your say system. Remotely also you can do with the help of grid. So when I'm talking about remotely, you need a IP address and the port number. Then only you can connect with any remote system.
Basically, grid is a
So
tool or like it's a tool
grid,
or it's a
it's
add-in.
not a, no, it is just a component of Selenium, one of the component.
Okay.
So in order to set up grid, first of all, you need this Selenium server standalone jar file. So how you can get it? You can simply download this. On the same website from where you have downloaded the Selenium jar files. There only you can download the Selenium server standalone jar files. So once this one open, go back, go to the down, and from here, click on this previous releases link. Currently, I am using this one, 3.12.0. So if you expand this, so here only you will find this one, Selenium server standalone jar files. So just click on this, it will be downloaded and it will look like this. So just everything, just keep it at one folder. So under this folder, I kept this one. Now, uh, I want to run my script on the Chrome browser and on the Firefox browser. So in order to run in Chrome and Firefox, I need drivers. So that drivers also I have kept at the same location. Okay. Now next thing is, in order to configure your system as a hub, you have to write a code in a JSON file format. So that code all easily available on the websites. So I get it from there, and this is the file. You just need to open any MS Word or any note, Notepad. I would say just open the Notepad, and this just I will provide all this thing. You need to just copy the code and you need to paste it in the Notepad, or you can simply use it, whatever I will provide. So this is a JSON coding, which is this. If you run this one, then it will configure your system as a hub. There are so many things. The important thing that you have to know is the port number in your system. On which port number you want to configure your system as a hub. So that port number you have to specify. So I have given 5556 as the port number. So in this port number, my system will be configured as a hub. Once I will run this JSON file. So if you have to create a JSON file, so what you will do, open a notepad, put down the code, copy the code and paste it here and go to file and save as. Here select all files and just give the name of the file here hub and save it in the form of .json. Save as type will be all type, and here you have to give the file name and .json extension. So this file will be saved in the JSON file format in this way. So see, this is a JSON file. Okay. So this is the coding for hub. Just copy paste and use it. Same port number for your system you can use, or if you want, you can change the port number. Now, for in order to configure as a node, this is the code. Okay. So in this node, I have configured three Firefox. See, browser name is Firefox and maximum instances is three. Three means three Firefox will be created in this node. Here zero, that means no Chrome browser will be created. If you want, you can create also. Just need to provide the number, and then you have to specify the port number. On which port number your system will be configured as a node. Okay. Next thing is you have to specify the URL. This is the URL where hub will be. Once your system will be configured as a hub, like if okay fine. Once once you will run this file, how to run that I will explain next week. Once you will run this file and on your browser, if you open this localhost 4444, so currently it is not opening, but once I will run this file, that hub file, so here you will see a hub will be opened at this location, at your localhost, this port number. Okay. So this same location I have copied and I have provided here. So basically here you have to specify your the URL, that is the local IP address and the port number where hub is opened. So this is one place which you have to change. You can keep it same also. And here you have to specify the role as a node. In hub also there is a role. Yes. So here two things, port number and the hub. Here in the role you have to specify it as a hub, and here in the node, first of all, this instances you can create. Second, you have to specify the node port number. Second, you have to third, you have to specify the URL of the hub, and lastly, you have to specify the role. So once you will run this file, so one node will be created at this port number, and this node will be connected with the hub, which is opened at this location. And in that node, there will be three Firefox browser and three Chrome browser. Similarly,
Where
I
do we
have
get this
created
port number? Basically, port number. Sorry.
this. There can be multiple ports number. Just four-digit value you give, and your local system will be connected with that port. There are multiple ports available in any system.
Okay, okay.
Okay. You
Specifically,
can
we need to mention, or
use
you can give any random number.
any four-digit random number you can give.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Now one more node I am creating where Firefox will be 0 and Chrome will be 5. Again, the port number I have specified, and the hub URL and its role will be it will act as a node. Same thing, but I one more node I am creating, and that should be configured on the different port. Different port I have written. Okay. So once I will run this file, so uh, my system will be configured as a hub. Once I will run this file, so this node will be created and it will be connected to this hub. Once I will run this file, so another node will be created and it will be connected with this hub. So there is only one hub and two no more two nodes are there which are connected with the hub. Because one whatever you will do on the hub, same thing will be reflected in the nodes. So the nodes should be connected with the hub. Okay. Now how to run? There is a code, there is a command that you have to run from your CMD. Okay. So that part I will explain you in the next class. After that, you have to write a program, and then you can run that program, and that will whatever I'm explaining right now, that the same thing will happen. So the second section we will see next week, and then from next week we will start with Maven. That means framework designing part will be started. Okay, so that's all for today's class. Once I will complete everything, then I will share this all the files to all of you. Okay, so that's all for today.
Thanks, Sunny. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time, basically.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yes, next week there will be class. Next to next week there will not be any class. Means I think I will not be available. Okay, thank you, everyone.